If you own a female bird, listen up. This is one of those health emergencies you absolutely have to know about, so let's get right into it.
We see a picture like this, and we think of egg laying as this totally natural, beautiful process. And it is. But what we have to ask is, what happens when it goes wrong?
Well, when it goes wrong, it turns into one of the most serious emergencies a bird can face. It's called egg binding, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The egg gets stuck, and she simply cannot pass it. So in this explainer, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with why it's so dangerous, then move to how you can spot the signs. We'll talk about your immediate first aid response, look at the hidden causes, and most importantly, finish up with how to prevent it from ever happening in the first place.
For a small bird like a budgie, a stuck egg is a catastrophe. It's not just an obstruction, it's pressing on all their internal organs. It can compress their air sacs, making it hard to breathe, it can cut off circulation, and it blocks waste from passing. The whole system starts to shut down, and it happens fast.
And this quote right here really drives home the danger. A bird might just look a little tired or off at first, but they can go downhill incredibly fast. This is why that wait-and-see approach, hoping she'll be better in the morning, is so risky. So, how can you tell the difference? How do you know if it's just normal nesting behavior or a real emergency? Well, there are some key signs you've got to watch for.
This chart is basically your cheat sheet. Let's look at the differences. A normal laying bird might be quiet, but she's still alert. An egg-bound bird is weak, fluffed up, and often sitting on the floor of the cage. Then check the breathing. Normal versus fast, open-mouthed, or that classic tail bobbing up and down. That's a huge red flag. And the droppings are a dead giveaway. A normal bird might have one really large dropping before the egg, but an egg-bound bird will have tiny little poops or none at all.
The very first signs can be subtle. You might just notice her feathers are fluffed up, or she's sitting low on the perch. You might see what looks like pushing over and over. That tail bob we talked about, that's a sign she's struggling to breathe. And here's a weird one you might not expect: lameness or weakness in her legs. That can actually happen if the stuck egg is pressing directly on her ischiatic nerve.
Okay, so you suspect egg binding. Your actions in the next few minutes are absolutely critical. Let's cover what you need to do and, just as important, what you must not do.
First, get her warm and provide some humidity. A warm, stable environment helps her muscles function. A steamy bathroom often works well. Second, reduce her stress. Lower the lights, keep things quiet, and avoid handling her as much as possible. But the most crucial step is number 3. Contact your avian vet immediately. These first aid steps are just temporary support. They are not a cure.
And this list is about all the dangerous home remedies you might hear about. Do not, under any circumstances, squeeze her abdomen or try to pull the egg out. You could break it internally, leading to a fatal infection. Don't use oils, don't give her human painkillers, and don't put her in a cold bath. These actions can cause serious harm or even death.
We've covered what to do in the moment. Now, let's step back and look at why this happens, because understanding the cause is the absolute key to prevention.
So what's the single biggest culprit behind egg binding? More often than not, it boils down to one thing: a calcium crash.
The medical term for this is hypocalcemia. Think about it. Forming an eggshell uses up a massive amount of calcium. But calcium is also what fuels the muscle contractions needed to push that egg out. So when her calcium levels crash, you get a double whammy. Her muscles get too weak to push, and the eggshell itself can be soft or malformed, making it even harder to pass. It's a perfect storm.
And where does this calcium crash usually begin? Right here, in the food bowl. A diet of only seeds is notoriously deficient in calcium. That's why providing a reliable source, like a cuttlebone, isn't just a treat, it's an essential piece of your bird's healthcare.
This brings us to the final and most powerful section: prevention. How do you set up your bird's life to stop this crisis before it even starts?
One of the biggest risk factors by far is chronic egg laying. If your bird is laying clutch after clutch of eggs, she is constantly depleting her body of calcium and other vital nutrients. This puts her at an extremely high risk for an eventual egg-binding emergency.
So the key is to turn off those egg-laying triggers. First, fix the diet. Get her off seeds and onto balanced pellets, veggies, and a constant calcium source. Second, remove nesting triggers. That means nest boxes, fuzzy happy huts, or any dark, cozy spot she's claimed. Third, manage her perceived mate, which could be a toy, a mirror, or even you. Restrict petting to just her head. And finally, provide enrichment. A busy, engaged bird has less time and energy to focus on reproduction.
So the main takeaway is this:
Egg binding isn't just a random accident. It's usually the final result of long-term triggers in her diet and environment. When you fix those root causes, you prevent the emergency.
And that leaves us with one last, really important question for you to ask yourself. Take a good, honest look at your bird's cage and her daily routine. Is her environment set up to promote her overall health, or is it accidentally set up to encourage hormones?